Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the By the Minute Mixed Martial Arts show. We're here on Friday, and it is a pleasure to have JJ Aldrich on the show today. How are you today, JJ?
I'm great. How are you?
Yeah, good, very good. So obviously, I want to talk to you a bit about your career, but first off, you were born and raised in Colorado, if I'm right.
Yep.
But you obviously have great pride in your Irish roots. You came out for your UFC debut dressed in the full Irish kit. What is it about your Irish roots that make you so proud, and how far back in your family does it go?
Yeah, I'm very proud of my Irish roots. I've always tried to put that on display throughout my entire career. My dad was born in Ireland and he was adopted to a family from, they're still Irish, but they're adopted. He was adopted from America to America. And also my grandfather's family's from Ireland. So I have a lot of Irish roots and I just like to be able to put it out there when I fight and show how proud I am of where I come from.
Yeah, because obviously we definitely noticed it when you were in Invicta, when it was quite often the green, the white, and the gold, especially on the sponsors banner at the back. And when you were signed to UFC, I did wonder actually if it was going to be the American fight kit or if it was going to be the Irish fight kit. And I did get a bit of a kick on the Irish fight kit. I assume going forward, now that you've had your first UFC fight, at some point you'll be looking at potentially being booked onto, say, a Dublin card, for example. Is that something that would be a big dream of yours?
Yeah, that would be awesome. I know that the UFC was just in Ireland, I think in November
Yeah.
last year. So I don't know how soon they're gonna book another card, but I would love to be on that one. Hopefully they book another one for like May or June, and I could hop on that card.
Yeah, that would be brilliant, to be honest. I think as well, what we've seen with the Irish crowd as well. If someone's willing to embrace it, they are willing to embrace them as well. I don't know if you saw Artem Lobov's fight at Belfast. Did you see that?
No, I didn't get to catch that one.
It was one of those where the crowd was just absolutely insane, and obviously Artem's Russian, but he trains at SBG, and like the crowd was just going insane. It was amazing to see, and it was good to see because obviously they do the same with Gunnar Nelson because he trains there as well, and hopefully the next time a card's booked there, they'll be like, yeah, we want Artem, we want Gunnar Nelson, and we want JJ Aldrich as well. That's what we'd quite like to see going forward, but. Another place that might be quite good for you as well at the moment, if there isn't a Dublin card booked going forward, Boston would obviously be an interesting place to see as well. Is that another place that would interest you?
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of Irish community in New York and Boston area, so if I could get on one of those cards, it would be really awesome too. Right now, I'm just trying to get on any card they'll have me. You know, they're pretty booked up. But yeah, if they could book me in Boston or Ireland or anywhere, I'd be excited. I really love how the Irish fans get behind their people, and that's one of the reasons that makes me so proud to be Irish.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, looking ahead, obviously you've had your first UFC fight. I wanted to talk a little bit about your journey to UFC. You had quite an interesting amateur record going forward. Things were pretty good. You turned pro in 2014, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then you had sort of spread over a little while. You had four fights in Invicta before getting the call to the UFC. You went 3-1 in Invicta as well. One thing that always interests me about Invicta, obviously there's Invicta 22 is coming up in a couple of weeks. It seems to be a company that's almost like, I don't know if this is the right terminology, but it's almost like a sorority where everybody's kind of pushing in the right direction, which makes it such a successful promotion, considering it's only been around 4 or 5 years. Is that an accurate assessment?
I think the reason that there's so many successful fighters from Invicta and people that want to fight for Invicta is really because of Shannon Knapp, the owner. She's amazing. You know, she wants the best for her athletes, and if that's with the UFC, then that's what she wants for them. If that's staying with her, then of course, that's going to make her happy. But her really just trying to take the best athletes from all over the world and not just from America, because there's so many good talent all over the place, and she'll bring them in and really put on a show and give them a platform to really grow and be successful in their career. She took me on straight as an amateur. I didn't have any pro fights, and let me get my debut on a stage like that. So I really give all the credit to Shannon Knapp, and everyone just involved with Invicta.
Yeah, it's an excellent promotion. Quick plug, Invicta 22 is on March 25th on UFC Fight Pass. If you don't have UFC Fight Pass right now, that is as good a reason as any to get it. Invicta is a fantastic promotion. And like you said, obviously, a lot of times people will get their pro debut in Invicta, so you get that kind of balance. You'll start off the card with maybe a couple of people who are 0-0 going on their journey all the way up to girls who've been fighting for years. I mean, we've got like Tonya Evinger and Yana Kunitskaya in the main event. There's always a nice mix in Invicta, and I can't promote the company enough. So for 2016, you seem to be pretty active. How many fights in total? I was actually unable to work out. How many fights in total did you have in 2016?
In 2016, we went and we did tryouts. So we were in Vegas in December, and then we went to the house in January. So I had the 2 fights in the house, and then when I got out, I went and fought in Oklahoma, and then I got back on Invicta in November, and then I fought for the UFC in December. So if you include the fights in the house, about 5 fights.
Yeah, so very, very busy year. There was a bit of a break between the Ultimate Fighter and then back to, like, you had 3 in quick succession at the end of the year, if that's right. So the Ultimate Fighter, what was the experience like for you, and how long were you there? Because I noticed that you were the first pick on Ioana and Jacek's team, and then Claudia Gadelha immediately matches you up with her first pick, which is obviously a bit of a bummer. But so how long were you out there in Vegas for the Ultimate Fighter experience, and how did you find it overall?
We were out there for 6 weeks, and it was a really great experience. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of a different work ethic working with Ioana and her team. Just how much she grinds, from training to her personal life and just everything. So really, it was an amazing experience. I would have liked to not been out so soon, obviously. Because I think I was out like week 2, and then I had to wait in the house the rest of the next 4 weeks and just, hope I had another shot, but chances are pretty slim of that. So, I just took the experience in for what it was and worked on anything I could to grow in that rest of that 4 weeks. So it was really good. Coming out of the house, I feel like I matured a lot, not just as a person, but as a fighter. So, there's the Ultimate Fighter experience has helped so many people. I didn't get picked up right after the show, and so I went back and did a couple more fights, and then that's how I ended up doing the last minute replacement in December.
Yeah, so I was going back and faced Catron and FCF. Was that a flyweight bout? Is that right?
Yeah, she wanted to do it at 125, so I said, yeah, I needed a fight. I hadn't fought on paper, I hadn't fought since almost a year. So I was itching to get back in there. The UFC had us all under contract until July, so I couldn't get in a fight until after July anyway. Okay. So as soon as that came up, I tried to get on the next fight as soon as I could, so that's what came up.
And then shortly after that, there was Lynn Alvarez, Invicta 20, a pretty dominant unanimous decision victory as well. How pleased were you to get back into Invicta? Obviously, you wanted to be in the UFC, but was it like familiar territory to get back into Invicta, get your feet wet back in there, and then get a comfortable victory, even though you couldn't get the finish, unfortunately?
Yeah, I think it was good for me to be able to go back and get a fight in, kind of get the cobwebs off, get back on a big stage. And, for me, it was a lot of pressure because I know I'm only a couple fights away from getting that phone call from the UFC. So any fight at that point is super dangerous for me. And Lynn Alvarez is not an easy fight by any means.
Oh, definitely.
So we knew it was a big risk. But I also knew that going into that fight, I had to go in there and make a statement and not just go in there and squeeze by a victory. So it was a lot of pressure going into that fight, but it was really good for me to get my feet wet back on a huge stage. Invicta is so big. So it was really good. My managers and my team really just put together the right game plan to set me up to be in the right position to get the phone call.
Yeah, so you must have got the phone call pretty quickly as well, because there was 3 weeks between Lynn Alvarez and then Juliana Lima in UFC. When did you get the phone call, and what was that experience like, knowing that you were going to be fighting on a UFC card?
So after the victory with Lynn, we went home, and I think it was the day before Thanksgiving, I heard that Tatiana, who was supposed to fight Juliana in December, had gotten hurt. And me and my coach were like, maybe they're looking for a last-minute replacement. Kind of sent a tweet out just being like, hey, I'll take the fight. But we didn't hear anything back for another week or so. So I had figured that they already found somebody, or they were just going to scratch it. And then I was at work, actually. I worked in a warehouse, and I was working, and I looked at my phone, and I noticed I missed a phone call from Sean Shelby. So I just left. I didn't say nothing to my bosses or anything. And I just went outside, and I called him back right away. And at first, I kind of thought that maybe he was going to ask if I wanted to be on the Denver card, because there's a Denver card here was it January?
Yeah.
And so I immediately thought that. And then he's like, hey, you want to fight in 8 days? And I was like, yeah, can't say no. An opportunity like that comes up. I knew that it was going to be, if I got a phone call, it was probably going to be a last-minute replacement, unless I went on a 5-fight tear and then they had no choice but to call me. But I was pretty sure it was going to be a last-minute replacement, so I was making sure my weight was in check, staying in shape. And it was only 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The fight was 3 weeks after I had already fought, so I was in really good shape anyway. So it was a perfect timing, but I said, yeah, I'll fight. And he's like, do you care how much? I was like, nope. I was like, sign me up. So it was a good day for me.
Brilliant. So how many days notice did you have? You have about, when it was official, you had about a week's notice. Is that right?
Yeah, 8 days.
8 days.
7 days to weigh-ins, 8 days to the fight.
Okay, so, and yeah, that's something I always wonder. You kind of covered it there, but obviously, even though you had the fight very recently, it must be really hard to manage your weight for that when you've got 7 days to make 115 or any weight, to be honest. Is it a case after the fight? Because I know a lot of people like to, they've had their fight, they like to gorge a little bit. For you, knowing that call is always possible, are you always keeping a level just in case the phone rings?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard because Thanksgiving was a week before that. So keeping my weight in check was, it's never easy when after you win a big fight, you want to go enjoy yourself. But I did know that phone call might be looming around soon. So my coaches and everybody, we all agreed that I would stay pretty close to weight after my last fight, just in case, because that phone call could come at any time. And you got to be ready when it comes, because if you say no or you miss weight, then it doesn't look good,
Definitely. So, Juliana Lima, she was a top 15 opponent when you faced her on a week's notice as well. Was always going to be a difficult challenge for the UFC debut. She won 30-27 across the board, and I thought that was the right score, despite the fact round 2 and round 3 were reasonably close, I thought. The one thing I've noticed with you fighting throughout your career is that you don't seem to really feel the pressure that much. But what are the octagon jitters like when you're making the first appearance in UFC? And for the first round against Juliana Lima, you looked a little bit nervous. Is that definitely something that you felt got you, and once you got that first round, you were ready to go?
I honestly, when I got the phone call, I didn't think I was going to be as nervous as I ended up being, just because, I was on the TV show, and I had fought on Invicta. So, and this fight was it was a Fight Pass card.
Yeah.
So I was like, the announcer had announced my Invicta fights in the past and everything else. I was like, it's the same, and I don't, I was excited the entire time. I wasn't nervous. I went out there to win that fight. I wasn't out there like, oh, I'll just take a fall to get signed to the UFC. Like, my every intention was to win that fight, and I really, in my heart, believed I could. And I don't think the nerves got to me until she walked in the cage. I was like, man, I used to watch her on TV, I was like, this is real. This isn't, this isn't Invicta. This isn't the TV show where nobody's really watching. It was live and there was a lot of people there. New York was insane with the energy and people excited because it was only the second fight ever held in New York. So people were there. Like, I think the stadium was packed before, the first two fights already happened. So yeah, it was a lot of nerves, and I can't say I wasn't happy because I won, because I did go in there to win. I was more upset with myself that I didn't perform to the ability that I know how I can. I couldn't throw my punches. I was like gun shy. My coaches were, just getting frustrated because they know I could perform better than that. But that was 8-day notice, biggest fight of my life. So I'm just excited to get a full camp in and get a good evenly matched opponent that I could game plan for and go out there and show the world what I could really do.
Yeah, I think that was all part of it. That was one of those that for me watching it. I actually watched it. I'll admit. I was struggling to watch that card. I was at a friend's, and I was like, right, what am I going to do? So I ended up watching your fight on my phone that night. It was kind of strange, but so I'm sitting in the kitchen watching it on my phone, being like, leave me alone. But so I think, and I know it sounds a little bit patronising, but that's one you can chalk up as a learning experience so far going forward, and especially against the top 15 opponent as well. That was. I think you're maybe being a little harsh on your performance, to be honest, but it was always going to be a difficult one. But I noticed after Saturday night, do you have any idea what might be next for you? Because I noticed on Saturday night you called out Amanda Bobby Cooper after her fight with Cynthia Calvillo.
As of right now, I don't. I'm just trying to get a fight. Me and Amanda went through the house together, and we were cool. We didn't really have any beef. But I just think that us being matched up makes sense for both of us. We're both coming off of a loss. Both have about the same record. So I really think it'd be a good fight. That's the fight I want right now. I've asked Sean for a couple other fights, and he's, looking into it, he says. So I'm really excited, and I'll take any fight I could get at this point, Like I said, my last performance isn't what I want to get that one in the past. So I really want to have another fight and just be able to show, what I can really do. So, yeah, if Amanda's next for me, then works for me.
I think it would be a really interesting fight as well, and there's a lot of interesting potential matchups at strawweight as well. Just even when you look up and down, obviously your only Invicta loss was to Jamie Moyle. She's coming off a win in the UFC. There's a lot of interesting people in that division as well that I think would be interesting matchups. And when I saw your call out, I was like, it was that way where I was like, I'm not 100% sure. When you look at a fight and you're not 100% sure how you think it would go, I think that's a perfect matchup to me, and I thought that was a really interesting one. I hope it gets booked for you. If not, I hope you get something booked pretty soon. So, you're training with 303, is that right? You still with 303?
Yep.
And you've been training with Rose Namajunas. Obviously she's been in the strawweight division in UFC for a while now. What's that experience like?
It's really good. Me and Rose have worked together for a long time. I think the first time we sparred together was back when she was getting ready for Tisha Torres the first time in Invicta. So we've been working together for a while. We used to cross-train at Grudge and 303 together. So it's been really good. She's, good people, her and Pat. They're always trying to be around and just work and, just being able to see at that level when I was back as, at Invicta, seeing what she went through in the UFC, now I kind of prepare myself a little bit for it, just as far as the promotional side and all that stuff. So the stress of fighting in the UFC on the biggest stage in the world, it can get to you. So it's been really good just being able to work with her and talk to her about it.
Yeah. Is there anybody else, I always ask this, is there anybody else in your gym or round about your training circles that people need to look, names that people need to know going forward? Is there anybody you'd like to give a shout that people need to know?
We have a really good girls team at 303. We have, two really good 105ers. We have some good 115ers. We have some bigger girls. So really just anyone out of 303 out of our gym coming up. We have Stephanie that fought at Invicta. she came off of a really bad knee injury and took a fight in Invicta. Maybe a little bit too soon, but you know, she has a lot of potential to go really far. Audrey Perkins is a 115er. She only has one pro fight, but she's super tough. So yeah, just really anybody coming at 303, they're gonna be super tough because you know they're around Rose and me, and we all just like to beat each other up all the time. So it's good.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see the names that are going forward as well. So for you, obviously we're sitting here on Friday. Next Friday, 17th of March, obviously a big day for you, St. Patrick's Day. What does St. Patrick's Day look like in Denver?
You know, we have a huge parade out here every year. The parade's huge, and everyone's just having a good time. One of my teammates is actually going to fight, I think, the day after St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, the day after St. Patrick's Day. So I'm going to have to be doing some weigh-ins Friday night. But it'll be fun. I love, you know, just I have a party myself. I dress in green. If I'm going to the gym, then I'm all in green. Everyone's like, "Oh, JJ must, you know, be enjoying her day." But yeah, it's just fun, you know, just being able to express my heritage.
Yeah, that's a point actually. When I saw you fight in the Ultimate Fighter House, I think that was the only time I saw you in something other than green. Was that a bit of a strange one?
They wouldn't give us anything, any green or anything. We had to wear the red. So even the referee that ref my fight, he's like, almost didn't notice you without your green outfit. So it was pretty funny.
That's pretty good. So, when you're not training, I mean, obviously you're training a lot, but what do you do to really unwind when it comes to sometimes when you just need to take your head out of the MMA game, even if it's for a couple of hours? What would you do to relax? What would you do to just do anything other than MMA?
You know, I just hang out at home. I just got a new puppy, so I'm enjoying him. Just trying to teach him, have a running buddy. You know, Colorado's beautiful. We have the mountains, we have lakes, you know, so much outdoor stuff to do. Even when it's cold, there's still, you know, skiing, snowboarding, everything else. So, you know, anything I could do, even if it's just going, watching a movie, anything like that. Fight camps always the most stressful thing. So on my day off, I really try to just not think about the fight. Because it's just it's just mentally draining if you just think about it all the time. Just the stress, not even so much for me, it's not even the person really, it's just my performance. I don't want to go out there and look, you know, like I don't belong in there. And that's my biggest thing in my last fight. And I just wanted to make sure that I go out there and put on a performance where people aren't like, she don't belong here, she shouldn't, you know, be in the UFC. I really wanted to go out there and prove that I should be there. So it's just really mentally draining. So, you know, I really like football a lot. So in football season, I'll watch football. Anything really, anything I could do.
I assume you'll be a Denver Broncos fan then, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. And last year when I was in the Ultimate Fighter House, was when we won the Super Bowl, and I missed it. I was so mad.
That's shocking.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Are you kind of cut off when you're in the Ultimate Fighter House in that sense, or is it just like because there's so much going on?
Yeah, no, we get all of our stuff taken away. We don't have phones. We don't have music. We're not allowed to listen to music at all. They'll tell us little things that goes on. Like I heard the cameramen, you know, they would like behind the camera show me the scores on their hands. They kept me up to date as best they could. But yeah, as far as like being able to get a hold of anybody or watch the news or listen to music or anything like that, we were cut off.
That sucks, especially with the Broncos in the Super Bowl as well. That is. I can't imagine that from my point of view, being in that situation. I know obviously you know, once you get put into the Ultimate Fighter situation, that's the sacrifices you have to make. But
and it was like I think I lost my fight that Friday, and the Super Bowl was that Sunday, so I was already depressed, and I was like, oh my gosh. It was rough.
Yeah, and well, at least it was somewhat of a pick me up, even if you couldn't see the game. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will start letting you go just now. Is there any plugs you want to put out, like social media, anything like that, sponsors?
Yeah, you guys could find me on my Facebook fan page is JJ Aldrich. one, and my Twitter, JJ. They're all pretty much just my name. So if you guys want to get in contact with me or follow me and see where my career is going, what I'm up to, just follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anything that works for you guys.
Excellent, and that'll go out to the Irish fans as well. Like I said earlier, I'm hoping to see you next time a card's booked in Ireland, be it Belfast, Dublin, wherever. I hope people are clamouring to see you on it as well, because they'll get behind you. They'll definitely get behind you.
Yeah, if a card gets booked, I'm gonna push to be out there, and then all the fans and help I could get to push me to be on that card would be amazing. So
Definitely. Definitely. So I do hope you get booked pretty soon as well. Thanks very much for coming on. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And we'll have links below for all the social media and everything you need. Thank you for watching. We'll speak to you again sometime.